plan sworn in, what is his first 30 days? Nothing. I'm going to guess he's going to usher in some kind of a something and then try to ramp up some more fucking military spending. Try to maybe go finish the job in Syria. Bullshit, definitely with fucking Bolivia and Venezuela. I mean, what is he's going to do nothing but evil.
I mean, look, for starters, like, get ready for a ground war with Iran. Like, get ready for that. Like, that'll absolutely, Joe Biden, they've been for that. I mean, they did a bunch of false flags during Trump, and Trump, who I don't like at all, but even Trump didn't take the false flag baits when they had all those, the Suez Canal, you know, the false flag highway. Yeah. When it's like that ship, oh, the Iran shot at that ship. No, they didn't. When like, oh, Iran shot down a drone. You mean the one that was over Iranian airspace that shouldn't have been there? That one? Like, they kept trying to get, you know, the deep state kept trying to get us into a war. And it's one of the few things I'll give Trump credit for. He didn't do that, even though I'm sure Pompeo and Bolton wanted him to. But Biden, we're going to be in a war with Iran, might send troops to Venezuela, finally get at those oil reserves that we've wanted for a long time. And then what he'll do is he'll like repeal a couple of Trump's deregulations. Like, he'll put the regulation back in place, and that'll carry the news cycle for 2 days. And all the dumb liberals will go, yay, we see, this is why we the big win. And it's like, nothing went forward. He just kind of undid some awful shit Trump did. That's it. That's the most we'll get. And any real thing they'll try to pass, the best thing that could have happened is that the Republicans can gain control of the Senate, because now they can play that, oh, those obstructionist Republicans won't give you health care. They can play all that shit now.
Yeah, you mean so the Democrats, that's already their strategy. You know, we can't get any. But, you know, Joe Biden's whole thing was, well, I can work with Republicans. I can get things done. I can work with them. Yeah, he is going to work with them. He's going to work with them to get some horrible stuff done. And, you know, I don't know if there's going to be a war with Iran, because everybody says, oh, he's going to get us back into the nuclear deal with Iran. And that was, you know, Obama's, you know, big achievement. And it was, I guess, some kind of an achievement. But he's going to start a war somewhere, or he'll ramp it up somewhere. Or, I mean, his whole life has been that. He's been for every war in my lifetime. And they did Libya. They did Yemen. Oh, well, fucking what about Yemen? I mean, Jesus Christ. That's still, do you think he's going to stop that? Anyway, it's just... so yeah, and he'll probably, you know, Trump, though, somebody made a joke, was that he's going to leave, Trump is such a failure, he's going to leave office being the first president in 100 years that wasn't able to overthrow a South American country.
It's not that hard, Trump. Come on. Just, it's not that hard. How hard is it?
Come on. You can't even do Haiti. You can't even, nothing.
You could even get like Barbados or some just easy one. You know what I mean? Just
nothing.
Just send one boat of Marines to Barbados and just put a flag up. Come on.
I mean, Chile's on the brink. Just give him a nudge. Let's do Chile again.
That should be a bumper sticker. Let's do Chile again.
I mean, I'm sure you still got the old offices from last time.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I'm sure there's some Pinochet loyalists down there. You could get back in the hopper. And the other thing too that I've noticed, and I know you've noticed this too, is all that rhetoric about now's not the time for revolution, and oh Bernie, you know, he wasn't popular enough. Like they won't honestly admit to the cheating of this primary and the 2016 primary, but yet again, all of these progressive policies and down ballot people have won. Like the fact that Florida voted in a super majority for $15 an hour
minimum
wage, more people voted for that than voted for Trump or Biden. Like,
so that's why, well, how we're living in a failed state, because our you know, as the Princeton study years ago proved, that we don't live in any semblance of a democracy. We actually, yeah, we get to vote, but we actually live in an oligarchy, because your vote doesn't have any correlation to policy implementation or laws being passed. And so it's only the upper 10% of wage earners who have a correlation. So if 10% of the upper 10% of wage earners want something, 10% of the time it gets passed. If 50% of the upper 10% want something, 50% of the time it will get passed. The lower 80% of wage earners, which is the rest of us, has absolutely no correlation to what our desires are in government legislation and what actually happens. Zero. So it is a fact that we live in an oligarchy. We just have the appearance of being in a democracy. So that the democracy's already been taken from you. In fact, the exit polls, I saw this on Fox News, 72% of Americans are for government-run healthcare.
Yes.
And by the way, it's not government run. It's government paid for. Like Medicare isn't government run. You don't go to a government doctor. You go to your fucking doctor and he orders the shit and then the government sends a check. That's how it works. It's not government run. But even with that wording, Fox News poll had 72%. And so, and neither of them would offer that to us. What is that? Why? Because of corruption. Because our government has been 100% captured by the corporations they're supposed to be regulating. And that's why we're living in the richest country the world has ever seen. And 80% of our workers live paycheck to paycheck. 80 million people have no insurance or are underinsured. And people go bankrupt all the time. And people are under mountains of debt. And people are under I live in California. And all these motherfuckers telling you to vote blue. I live in California, which is a super majority Democrat state with a governor who is a Democrat. The city of Los Angeles has a Democratic city council with a Democratic mayor. And there are people living under every bridge in this fucking state. And
every single one.
Yes. And so, and even where there aren't bridges. So what I'm saying is this idea that we're going to be able to vote our way out of this by voting for this two-party, which is really a one-party duopoly, is a fool's errand. Talk about who's being petulant children now. Let's keep doing what we've always done, and which has made things worse. Every 4 years, the Democratic Party goes a little bit further right. I don't know if you notice, Joe Biden is to the right of Hillary Clinton. And he's got a worse record. And I mean, Hillary Clinton was going to give Medicare to people 50 and over. Joe Biden won't even fucking do that. So so now this is why is the Republican Party so batshit crazy? Because the Democrats became right-wing Republicans, and so every time the Democrats move right, the Republicans move right a little bit more. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not just a blunder, a mishap or a mistake that they ran a pro-Trump Democrat against Mitch McConnell. They need Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is great for fundraising. I'm still getting the fundraising emails. I'm like, your bullshit election's over and you're still out there like, we need to help. You need to help donate. It's all these emergency donation emails to keep the count going and whatever. I've been getting these for months. And it's like that you look at this ridiculous duopoly. And it's why Nancy Pelosi won. The Republicans need Nancy Pelosi because the Republicans are sold a bill. They sell their audience that it's funny. They're like Pelosi and Joe Biden are Marxists. I'm like, God damn, I wish they were Marxists. I mean, they're Republicans, so they just need this for the fundraising. But the thing that is again, like you talk about that Fox poll, that's what the people want, what they voted for in Florida. You've got the like little wins here, like the mayor of Baldwin Park is a Green. He just a 26. He just won. They had the same mayor for like 20 years, and he just beat him. Nithya Ramon, who is a progressive activist, got on the LA City Council. It's the first time they've had a new city council member in 17 years. So like you're seeing these wins, which actually always contradict the Democratic Party's. Now's not the time for a revolution, or it's not how you going to pay for it, or whatever their bullshit is. In America, the thing about this pandemic and the CARES Act, the American people went, oh, so the federal government can just write big checks? Well, then why don't they just write a big check? I mean, and people are waking up to the fact that student debt forgiveness, 85% of student debt is federal. The president, by executive order, doesn't need Congress. There's no money to get. You're just signing something, forgiving this money, and it puts trillions of dollars back into the economy. Joe Biden couldn't even run on that. He couldn't even promise people that. He couldn't say, we're in a pandemic. Here's what I'm going to do. You're going to not have to pay college tuition. That student debt's gone. So I'm putting that money back into the economy and spell it out for the American people. They can't even do that. And then it's kind of like you're seeing these down ballot victories. And I'm saying, obviously, you're right. It's like a big. We're not going to change this party from within, but they can't cheat all these small elections. And why I say the local election, the local politics are actually more important. The city council in Los Angeles has more power than the mayor. And that's the only way, at least electorally, to make get even any kind of anything. And the fact that Florida can vote for $15 an hour minimum wage shows all these other states they can get it. But short of getting, Greens and progressives and Democratic socialists and all the city councils, which I think is a tactic people should really start doing. Just if there's nobody running like that, then you should run. That's what I say to my audience. So what else then? Obviously, Biden, nothing is going to change. And I worry that Trump is an overt fascist, but Biden is going to be just kind of covertly fascist. And when people are protesting because the economic collapse is coming, right? That's coming. There's no way to stop that. There's 30 million foreclosures coming. There's going to be more layoffs. There's a commercial real estate bubble that is, it is collapsing. It's going to be brutal. They haven't passed another stimulus plan. So when that happens under Joe Biden, is that going to wake the vote any blue will do crowd up? Are they then going to finally go, oh, Joe Biden is snatching up people in unmarked vans? Maybe, in port, like, when are they going to wake up? The Trump supporters, some of them are crazy. They're threatening people with guns and all that stuff. When are people going to wake up on both sides that we're in class warfare? It's not a race war. It's not all this other. When is that going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen, Graham, because in order for people to wake up to that, they need someone to articulate it. They need a bunch of people to do that, and those people need to get in the media, and that's not happening. Right now, even with the media lying to the people over and over about Medicare for all, you turn on CNN, they're going to tell you, Jake Tapper will tell you it costs more than our current system. They'll all scare you that it's socialism, that it's this and it's that. Even with that, 72% of Americans, which means a lot of conservatives, are for Medicare for all. So even with that, but what is it going to take for people? The media it's just completely bought. They can make people think that a Jewish guy is an anti-Semite. At no point after Iraq did the media question what we were doing in Libya. Did the media question what we're doing in Yemen? The media cheered on what we were doing in Syria. They're not still. Even after the Afghanistan papers, they're still trying to paint the problem is somehow Tulsi Gabbard wanting to get us out of war. It's just crazy. After the Afghan papers proved that Joe Biden and Barack Obama were just as big of pieces of shit warmongers as anybody else, and still nothing against it. So I think that the corruption of the media has really fucked us. And, whenever there's a revolution, normally the first thing they do is they take over the radio and TV and newspaper, right? But they already did that, right? So they got that here. And that's why places like your show and my show gets throttled so hard by the Google algorithms, right? And why people who are in the tank for MSNBC don't. They're not throttled, right? So the corporate news on YouTube is not throttled. You know that. I know that. They don't unsubscribe people from MSNBC's channel or people who have MSNBC contract. Those people are not on the same algorithm that you're on.
I know, Jimmy, who viewers of this show have told me they've unsubscribed from MSNBC's YouTube channel, and then YouTube subscribes them back.
Yeah. So because they want because MSNBC's videos are safe for advertising. So the more views they can get on that kind of news on YouTube, the better for them, because then there's not going to be a story written about how there was advertising on a Nazi's channel. That's what they're afraid of, right? Or there was on some. And so what they first do is they try to discredit independent voices by calling them conspiracy theorists, even though the government and the mainstream news are the biggest conspiracy theorists in the world. Every war is one big fucking bullshit conspiracy theory, and the mainstream news is on board for every goddamn one of them. So but what they first do is that, plus Russiagate was nothing but one big evidence-free conspiracy theory to cover up for the goddamn Democratic Party being bought and paid for, and that there really isn't two parties. That's the thing that Russiagate really covered over. It made it appear that there was an opposition to Donald Trump. There was an opposition to Donald Trump personally, but there wasn't an opposition to Donald Trump legislatively. There wasn't an opposition to Donald Trump politically. There was just an opposition to him personally. They let all his judges go by. You saw they let him get his back to the Supreme Court. They didn't lift a finger to try to stop. They didn't. So anyway, I think there's two ways it could go. We're going to have a worker-led rebellion. But again, the unions, I think, are almost worthless in America. They're just co-opted. They're almost part of big business themselves. And so we're going to have a worker-led rebellion, and we're going to have some, the breakup of the social media companies. I don't see any of that happening. In fact, I see censorship is here to stay because it's been cheered on by the authoritarian left. Anybody who pushed Russiagate, whether they knew it or not, was pushing for censorship of themselves. And as I just pointed out on Twitter the other day, Anna Kasparian got censored for her show on Jacobin Mag, and I just pointed out, like, hey, when I was at the Young Turks, I tried to warn everybody there that if you're pushing for censorship and Russiagate, it's going to come back on you, and even harder. And I was proven right. And I don't know if you saw the Twitter thread, but she still stands by that position, which it's just dumbfounding. Even as the left is being censored themselves by Silicon Valley, they stand by calling for censorship of people they don't like. That's not how it works. You don't get to pick and choose who gets censored and who doesn't. That's when you give that power away to fucking a bureaucrat without due process. Hey, if someone's breaking a free speech law and someone's actually dangerous, then there's laws to take care of that shit. There's an attorney general, there's a district attorney, there's the police force. Do we really have to rely on fucking Mark Zuckerberg to be our police chief, our court, our judge, our enforcer, judge, jury, and fucking, it's crazy. And even as it's happening to them, the left is still pro certain parts of the quote unquote left. Well, the truth is, if you're for censorship, you don't know it. You just gave up your fucking card to be on the left. You're not.
No, you're not on the left.
And if you're a McCarthy smearer, you're also not on the left. If you red bait your political enemies, you're also not on the fucking left. If you attack Trump from the right and want him to be more bellicose with our enemies, especially ones with nuclear weapons, you're not on the left.
No. And it's like, and they're totally okay with it. It's literally, it's like Hedges put in his book, Death of the Liberal Class. It's the liberal elites that are the biggest problem. I'm not excusing the awful, scary, some of the racist white nationalist groups. And, Trump won't call them domestic terrorists, but neither will Biden when he becomes president. He won't put them as domestic terrorists because that's bad for business. And they let that happen. It's why, like, this happened. I'm going to share the screen up here. This happened Monday night. The Mueller investigation investigated Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and Roger Stone for DNC hacks. Previously, secret portions of the Mueller report show the special counsel declined to prosecute due to lack of evidence. They released this Monday night before this massive election, knowing full well that the media is not going to pick this up. I mean, so it's deliberately put in there. And when I share it on this show, or you talk about it on your show, or we share it on our Twitter feeds, there's always some blue check Hollywood liberal that's like, oh, Julian works for Russia, whatever. And they don't realize the Hollywood. I've called some of these Hollywood, like, comedy writer, these blue check people out. I've said, if this was the 50s, you'd be selling out your fellow comedians and writers to goddamn Joe McCarthy.
Just like that, Graham, just like that. They have no problem. Oh, it's my political enemy? Well, I'm going to do the most despicable thing you could possibly do as a Hollywood person politically. I'm going to fucking McCarthy smear my enemies. It's nuts. It shows you the integrity that they have. It's that not much. I mean, this goes almost every fucking every one of my old friends in Hollywood was fucking doing that shit. It's crazy and it's despicable. And what, I don't know how those people can call themselves artists. An artist is supposed to push back against the status quo. An artist isn't supposed to attack politicians from the right, which is what they were doing. When you're attacking Donald Trump over Russia, you're attacking Donald Trump from the right, you fucking morons. And so that's why, Graham, it's very easy for me to do the show I do. It's very easy for me to scoop MSNBC and fucking 99% of YouTube, because they suck, because they repeat fucking CIA talking points, and they don't have the balls to do a counter narrative, because that's going to get you some bad press. And I already, again, like I've said on my show, I'm not one of these people looking to make a career in journalism or get a job in journalism or make friends in journalism. I already got my friends. It's called stand-up comedy. I already got the pat on the back from everybody I ever respected in comedy. They already said, look at the blurbs for my book. All my heroes already said nice things about me. So I'm very safe in that, and I'm not looking to make new friends, which is why I can easily outdo all the other fucking news shows that are in it for real. Like, they've been doing this their whole life. They went to journalism school, which is a fucking joke. Hey, if you want to learn how to be a shitty journalist, go to journalism school.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it insane? I want to talk about this. First of all, everybody, welcome to the Political Vigilante. I'm here with my friend Jimmy Dore. Please hit the like button. And if you're new to the show, please subscribe. YouTube is unsubscribing me at record numbers. So let's stick it to their algorithm. Also, I'm on rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are up there for free, and they let all of Jimmy's on there. It's a great platform. So we're talking about Hollywood. We've both lost friends of ours who we thought were like lefties like us. And what we discovered was they got into show business. There's nothing wrong with getting into show business. Like, oh, wow, I want to be a big TV movie star and be famous. Okay, fine. We all know that's what we're all chasing, that to some degree or another. But when push came to shove politically and socially, they obviously, like we were talking about, would sell us out in a heartbeat. And it seems like they want to be part of the establishment ruling class. We all started, and some of these people, we all started together in our 20s and the 90s, and we were all doing alternative comedy because it was like, no, man, we don't want to sell out to the big corporate things. And we take these corporate TV gigs, but we want to be real artists. And then you see some of them, boy, they get a little money. It doesn't matter what it is, some reality TV shows, whatever bullshit. If they get that big TV money, that 6 and 7 figure money, it's union. If they're getting help. They don't need $15 an hour minimum wage. They don't need free health care because their union pays for it. They're not even pro-union outside of their little whatever writers guild or actors guild or directors guild. They're not even out of it. They don't care about actual labor, and they're part of the problem. And they think they're so rebellious, and that's why they lose their shit when people like you and I outleft them. They can't handle it because they're used to arguing with like Trumpers on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, I was arguing with the executive producer of The Simpsons, Dana Gould, and he was again tweeting out the pictures of the kids in cages saying, oh, you're going to vote. If you don't vote for Biden, this is what you're supporting. You're an asshole. And of course, it had to be pointed out to him that was actually done under Joe Biden. That's a picture from Joe Biden's administration. And so why wouldn't you, if you just spent a tenth of the time trying to pressure Joe Biden to become a better candidate, as you did fucking punching left and punching down and holding people with no power accountable and trying to shame people or asking politicians to offer them something, anything for their vote, you're just a fucking rich, out of touch asshole. You're not a good person. You're a virtue signaling piece of shit. I mean, those guys, like, I love to point out Andy Richter. I mean, Andy Richter is one of the biggest virtue signaling cowards I've ever seen on Twitter. He'll never use his platform to call out the causes of Donald Trump, but he'll pretend like he gives a fuck once it's safe. It's safe to fucking call out Donald Trump. Then guys like Andy Richter will do it. But if it took balls to call out Barack Obama for their immigration policy, or Barack Obama for opening the Arctic to drilling twice, or Barack Obama for his drone policy, or Barack Obama for taking us from 2 wars to 7, or Barack Obama for kicking 5.1 million people out of there, they didn't fucking do any of that shit. They're not going to talk about that because that would take actual guts and courage. And they're just a bunch of shallow fucking virtue signaling millionaires.
Yeah. The Trump or the Obama, oh, I'm going to drink some of this water. I'm drinking, this is iced tea, yes, but this is actually what Flint water looks like.
And then he says it's not a stunt. He literally, as he's doing a stunt, Barack Obama says this is not a stunt. And then my friends in comedy tweet out best president in my lifetime like they're not complete fucking assholes. You chump.
It's so true. Like if these people spent the same amount of time holding the Democratic Party accountable as they do yelling at us progressives and lefties, maybe the Democratic Party would change. Like
Maybe.
I had somebody call me a couple months into the pandemic and say, Graham, stop what you're doing. And I thought he was joking at first. This is a guy that I consider a friend. I've known him for a long time. And he's a black guy. And he's like, hey man, I'm worried about my kids and the racism. I said, that's obviously true. Yes. And I listened to some of it like, hey, I don't know what it's like to go jogging as a black man. I don't know what he's like, I've had shit thrown at me. And that guy had just been shot when he called me in Georgia or whatever. He was running through that neighborhood, and those two white guys, which is awful. But then I said, yeah, but what about
all this racism just started, Graham.
Yeah, it just started under Trump.
So the antidote to that kind of racism is to vote for the guy who fucking wrote the 94 crime bill, who fucking exploded the prison population, who made it harder for him to get out of bankruptcy when he goes fucking broke or gets sick or is in student debt, or he'll kick him out of his house when he fucking can't pay. That's the antidote to Donald Trump. That Joe Biden is not the antidote to that.
I know. It's like, and I'm like, so you're literally calling to blame the messenger, because everything I'm saying is a fact. I'm not bringing up conspiracies.
That's right.
And I'm like, when Obama, and I told him, I said, I voted for Obama when he dropped more bombs than Bush, 85,000 dead children. Do you want to talk to those parents? And he said, well, that's black disappointment. And I was like, black disappointment?
Black disappointment.
I go, that's American privilege. That you have American,
yes.
I have white privilege and I understand it. And I have to own certain things. I was born middle class. My college was paid for. But that, well, you can't win them all. That's American privilege because you've never had your friends or family murdered from a drone. We've never had bombing in this country. We've never seen it happen. You don't know what it's like. And I'm like, I've been to war zones. I've seen kids on operating tables because they were playing in a minefield or they got hit with an IED. I know what war looks like. And that's just as a comedian. So when people say, that's the thing that drives me nuts, when they just sort of say, well, I mean, Obama wasn't perfect. I'm like, he murdered people, not perfect. I mean, and then they're like, so that means you like Trump? It fucking drives me insane.
So when I would tell people the truth about Russiagate, they would often say to me, yeah, but that Putin, he's a real thug. As opposed to who? As opposed to Barack Obama, who has a drone program that kills 90% civilians? Yeah. 9 out of 10 people he kills with a drone is an innocent civilian. What does that make him? That makes him a fucking war criminal. Barack Obama tortured Chelsea Manning. Barack Obama and Joe Biden prosecuted whistleblowers using the Espionage Act way more than any other president. What the fuck does that make him? That makes them thugs.
Thugs. It's like when people were getting snatched off the streets in Portland by unmarked vans and everyone's like, look what Trump's America is doing. I go, that was signed. The NDAA was signed by Obama in December of 2011.
Yes. And he also signed Section 1021 of the NDAA. And what did that do? That repealed habeas corpus, ladies and gentlemen. Why is that important? So then Trump can send his goons in and arrest you and never charge you and fucking keep you locked up for the rest of your life. All they have to do is say you're a terrorist. That's all they have to do. And what did they? And they charge people at the Standing Rock with environmental terrorism, so that they'll call anybody. You're an information terrorist. I'm an information terrorist. You're an information terrorist. All they have to do is say you're a terrorist, and they can take all your rights away and lock you up indefinitely. And who did that? Barack Obama. And why is that extra insidious? Talk about your black disappointment. It's because Barack Obama is a constitutional fucking lawyer. He knew exactly what he was doing, and then he handed that power to Trump.
Yeah. Handed it to him. He handed Trump a dictator's playbook, basically, and no one wants to own it. And I just like, and then they're like, oh, you guys want pie in the sky and this and that. And I hate to be generational, but it's really baby boomers. And unfortunately, our generation X is pretty stupid neoliberal, and they're like, yeah, but those Trump supporters are awful and racist. I said, yeah. And the ones that are truly scary, they're like driving their Trump cars, trying to run people off the road and threatening with guns or whatever. Yeah, that's scary. But I'm sorry. they're, you know, you don't even want to look at what caused that. They've been abandoned.
Let me also make the case, Graham, about when a guy calls you up and he says, "Hey, I'm black and I'm afraid of the racism, so Trump's got to go." You know, I predicted in 2016 when Trump won the presidency that he would deport less Mexicans than Joe Biden and Barack Obama, and you know that has come true in spades. That they aren't even going to come close to deporting as many Hispanics as Barack Obama and Joe Biden did. So this idea that somehow everything Trump is worse than Barack Obama, people have no idea how bad Barack Obama actually was.
No, they refuse to acknowledge it. And what bothers me is, I'm sorry, you're a college educated liberal. You should know better. You're supposed to be all Mr. Critical Thinking, Mr. Open Minded. You say, oh, the Trump voters vote against their own interests. Yeah, they do. You know, the right wing.
Everybody does.
Everyone does. The whole left does. The left identity politics gets people to vote against their own interests in a heartbeat. If I showed you a white male that put 120,000 black men behind bars as the attorney general of the state of California, you would never be excited about him as your vice president. Never. Right. And that's why they showed, like, MSNBC interviewed those 3 black women a week before the election in Atlanta who were like, nah, we're not voting for Biden. We're not down with Kamala Harris. And they were like, whoa, you're not the soundbite we wanted. Wait, hold on. And they won't wake up to this fact. And the fact that Biden is barely winning here. Even if he does win, it's barely.
He's going to win by a hair sniff.
And it's no sweeping mandate. And gee, when Fox News viewers want Medicare for all overwhelmingly, when like everybody wants UBI, everyone's okay with it. I mean, that was the thing. They realized, oh, we can have all these things we want.
Yes.
So, and gee, if you ran, you know, Bernie was clearly cheated again. They purged votes again. The shadow app in Iowa. Like, I was on crosstalk with this guy who was like, oh, Joe Biden won fair and square. And he said, oh, you're shadowing conspiracies. And I was like, no, the shadow app was an app used to count votes in Iowa caucus. Pete Buttigieg funded it, helped fund it. Come on. They just.
Graham, I just want to give a shout out to Michael Dolan. Michael Dolan, who caught the joke that Graham let go right past him. The joke was that Joe Biden is going to win by a hair sniff. Shout out to Michael Dolan. Michael Dolan, he got that, and he said it in your chat. So I just want to give a shout out to Michael Dolan. That's a good catch. You have a great comedy calibrator there. Good going.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I was all wound up into a rant, so I missed that joke. But that's a good that he wound up by a hair sniff.
Come on.
That's the other thing too. Both of these guys have strong ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Not discussed. No one's going to. The corporate media doesn't talk about that. Why? No. Because the billionaires that are involved in this global sex trafficking ring own these big corporations.
That's right. And the CIA, which is infiltrated all the newsrooms, they didn't even infiltrated them. They're on fucking camera.
Yes.
They hire them to be on their on-camera analysis. No, you're supposed to bring someone on to analyze the lies from the CIA. You're not supposed to bring on the liars from the CIA to give you analysis, you fuck. You're bringing on people to give you propaganda. Of course, they know that because they're owned by a handful of billionaires. There's just a handful of billionaires who own all our media in this country. And that's exactly, and if Noam Chomsky's taught us anything, is that the Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, Jake Tapper, and Chris Cuomo are there to manufacture consent for the establishment. They're not there to actually inform us and tell us what's actually going on, or else we'd have we'd have Medicare for all, we'd have a UBI, we wouldn't be living under bridges, and we wouldn't be in 7 fucking wars.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be lining up for food
lines in the richest country in the world. Hey, let me just remind people that in a similar economic downturn, Joe Biden and Barack Obama kicked 5.1 million families out of their homes in a similar economic climate to this. So it's coming. And Joe Biden's going to be president. I bet he does the exact same fucking thing this time.
This time it'll be worse because thanks to the CARES Act, it won't just be homes. It's going to include small businesses.
Right.
Like they're kicking, like in this SBA loan. They sent me this thing. You're pre-approved for an SBA loan. And I read the fine print. Anything over $25,000, your business is collateral and they will collect on it if you don't pay. And I was like, oh, That's how they're going to get it. So I said, let's lower the amount to under 25 grand. And I took the loan. So fuck them. Because they can't do it. And I said, this is what they're going to do. All these people are going to default on these loans. Not to mention, they gave $4.25 trillion hidden in the CARES Act, things that people like AOC voted for verbally. And she pretends like she's fighting for us, even though she's not bothered by the fact that Joe Biden wants to frack. She said that on CNN, not bothered by it. So she's a sellout. We have no progressive leadership. Bernie sold out. Tulsi sold out. AOC sold out. They're going to pass some. They're fighting for some things here and there. Tulsi's got this new thing to try to pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Okay. Bernie is really good at tweeting. Man, that's going to help get things paid for. And AOC calls Pelosi Mama Bear. But like it's back to the CARES Act though. So they have this $4.25 trillion and these big companies are sitting on it, waiting. They're going to snatch up all the commercial real estate. They're going to snatch up all the foreclosures and do what they did in 2008. These management companies bought, especially in California, they did this. One of the reasons the rents were so high, this is pre-COVID, they're starting to come down because everybody's leaving. But one of the reasons the rents are so high in California, the management companies bought up all these short sales and foreclosed homes and then started renting them. So they helped drive the rents up, which is why these big management companies were...
And Barack Obama bailed out those companies on his way out the door. I don't know if you know that. So there was these companies, equity firms that had done exactly what Graham's saying. They bought up all these properties and they're going to run these huge rental properties, which is hard to do. And so they were going, they're going underwater. And Barack Obama gave him like a couple of $1 billion on his way out the fucking door. And so what does that do? That doesn't just help his friends on Wall Street and the equity firm. What that actually does is that creates a barrier for first-time home buyers because it keeps fucking prices artificially high and it keeps rents artificially high. So it's fucking renters and it's fucking first-time home buyers. And that's what Barack Obama's final gift to the middle class was as he left office.
Which now sets up this house of cards with a pandemic and an economic shutdown and no real UBI. Some people got unemployment, some people didn't. If they did, was it enough? Whatever. Now, thanks to Obama and what you're talking about, that set up now this house of cards of the 30 million pending foreclosures that are happening. But at least the Secretary of State is Steve Mnuchin, who could have been prosecuted by Kamala Harris when he was in charge of One West Bank. But of course, he donated to her 2010 Attorney General campaign. So then when Kamala Harris had enough evidence to prosecute him and send him to jail the way Iceland did to their corrupt bankers, she passed on it. And then another wacky coincidence, he donates to her senatorial campaign. So then when she becomes senator, was she the one who helped approve him as Secretary of Treasurer? Yes, she did. She did vote for it. Go to cabinetvotes.org. So Kamala Harris is part of this lineage of the corruption of the Democrats and the Republicans. I've always said Democratic Party is just Goldman Sachs with a rainbow flag. That's what it is. And nothing is going to change when this economic collapse, and I'm watching financial experts saying this is going to be worse. And it's not just like socialists like Richard Wolff, who I like and respect, but it's like Wall Street capitalist guys are saying, oh man, it is coming. This collapse is coming. And it's all going to be because did Obama put anyone in jail? Did he pass all this sweeping regulation? Nope. Dodd-Frank, which is like a Band-Aid and a shotgun wound. So how do you see all this playing out?
Graham, first of all, I just realized that you got one of those loans from the CARES Act,
mm-hmm.
and did you put some of that into that sweet gray paint that you did for that wall behind you? Is that what that was?
No, I just got it. Some of it's going to go for my new TV. You fucking linen wearing jagoff. So that's going to fucking Graham, what's gotta happen. But I predict that I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but it doesn't seem like it will. I'm going to try and make it happen as much as I can. I'm working on a third party with Nick Brana, but there has to be a consolidated left that starts from the workers, because if there's anything that the COVID pandemic taught us is that the real essential workers aren't hedge fund managers. They're not on Wall Street. They're not at the top of any board. They're healthcare workers. They're Amazon workers. They're grocery store workers. They're UPS drivers. They're FedEx drivers. These are the essential workers in the United. They're teachers. Right now, capitalism can't run without fucking teachers, can it? We need people to watch our kids all day so those people can go to fucking work.
and make capitalism run. So that's what's got to happen. And you see how they settle those teacher strikes really fast. That's not an accident. They know that
in red states, those teachers got what they wanted.
They settled those fast because strikes are catchy. So hopefully that's what we can somehow get the political class to work with the unions and the worker class, and we can bring the country to its knees. I mean, if Ralph's workers in California stopped working for a day, they'd shut this fucking state down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. I mean, it's nuts what the ability what they have to do. So I think that's what's got to happen, and we got to realize we have to realize that people like Bernie Sanders are they can be an ally, but they're certainly not going to be our leader. He's just a lip service guy who doesn't have any backbone. He voted for the largest upward transfer of wealth in the middle of a fucking pandemic, and he got us nothing and he threw his entire movement on behind a guy who's the problem. He's telling us right now that Joe Biden is going to lead to a worse Trump as he's telling you to fucking vote for that guy. I mean, Bernie Sanders is such a schizophrenic fucking tool of the establishment. It's jaw-dropping. It is jaw-dropping, the fucking fall that guy. He wanted to end his career by this way. This is how complete capitulation to the machine, complete ass fucking of your own movement, it's just amazing. He had his moment and he missed it on purpose because he doesn't have the nads.
It was history, the universe conspired to put Bernie Sanders in the perfect moment at the perfect time. That March 15th debate, I will never forget that debate. Things had just got shut down. Ron and I just canceled a tour in Florida.
Yeah.
We were on your show Friday the 13th, and we all looked at each other and said, this might be the last time we're together for a while. We all knew, it's coming. I did the debate on the 15th. I did it at the All Things Comedy Studio. Kim Iverson Skyped in because she was feeling worried about, and this was Bernie's moment. It was his moment to go, I am the guy to defeat Trump. COVID is here. It's real. I'm going to give you Medicare for all. I'm going to give you UBI. Trump's going to mishandle this, which he could now be saying, see, this is why you got to vote for me. And this would be a landslide. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. He should have said, he should have distanced himself from Joe Biden and said, this is why you got to vote for me. Joe Biden is just going to be the same as Trump. Not just I'm the guy. This is this moment. It was his moment. History put him in place. Like, I've read a lot of autobiographies and biographies about prominent people. Like Winston Churchill was waiting his whole life for this moment to be the leader of England. And it was like the Nazis were the moment. He went and he stood up and said, this is my moment. I'm leading us out of this. And everyone went, yes. And he was waiting for it his whole life. Bernie was like, I hope I never get this moment. I'll talk about it. But if I'm put in this position, I'm not going to do it. And he kept saying, my friend Joe Biden, he didn't slam dunk on Joe Biden. He got a couple of wins. And me and Ron and Kim Iverson sat there and went, oh man, this wasn't the debate he was supposed to have. And then in the middle of it, Kim Iverson looks at her phone and says, oh, Garcetti shut down all of America, or all of Los Angeles. And that was it. That was it. A couple days later, Bernie quit. Tulsi quit. And we have no progressive leadership. So yes, we need, and we were both at that Movement for a People's Party convention. I don't know why they're waiting until next. I don't know why they didn't start this now, but that's what we need. And it does need to be focused on labor, because labor unifies people. That's the thing. That's why they did such a fantastic job. The oligarchs at eviscerating unions over the last four or 5 decades is because unions, you had people working in unions that are of different ethnicities, different backgrounds, and they all came together into the union. And labor is what would unite people. Labor is actually what would get these conservatives, some of them working class white people, and Black Lives Matter to come together and say, actually, they're the ones that are screwing us over. That it's the billionaires that took your job, not an immigrant. The billionaires took your job. And so it will take labor. And I'm worried that I want to see the unions, they capitulate, like you say. The AFL-CIO said if he loses and won't quit, we're going to form a general strike. And I'm like, well, that's great. Why don't you guys do a general strike no matter what?
No matter what.
Why don't you do it to demand Medicare for all? Why don't you do it?
What are you fucking waiting for?
Like, they're just waiting for Trump to suddenly be like, stay in the White House with a gun and say, I'm not, that's what it's going to take? Like, the 30 to 50,000 people a year that die because they don't have health care, that's not enough. Like, so I want to see it. We need an opposition party. There is no opposition party. I watched the debates. I watched the conventions, and it was the debates. This was basically a Republican primary, is what it felt like. So is it possible for the People's Party or some third party to have any real traction without some big defection, like an AOC, a Bernie, a Tulsi? Can it do it without some big defection like that?
I think it can, if it has people like, Cornel West and Jesse Ventura and people like that, Nina Turner, if those kind of people decide to do it. But yeah, definitely big defection would help. I mean, even a little defection would help. Yeah, what if you need somebody who's an elected Democrat to jump ship? That would be a big deal. In this situation, you would think it would be Bernie Sanders normally, but of course, it's been revealed that's not his role at all. His role is to actually do the opposite, to stop the formation of a third party. That's what Bernie's job is to do. And then they come together and fuck him over. And then he again asks you to fuck his wife while he watches.
Yeah,
so there was a joke Ron wrote for me. Bernie Sanders, there was a headline in Politico that he was angling for the Secretary of Labor job in the Biden administration. And Ron's joke was, yeah, but if he doesn't get it, he'll settle for go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Biden, a third party is going to, goddamn Ron Placone writes good jokes, is the only way for a third party to really happen. And it's funny, Hedges and Cornel West said it in 2016 that Bernie actually missed his moment. He had a shot in 2016 to start it. Had he just done what Jill Stein offered him, and she was like, you run as president, I'll be your VP. Yeah. Had he done that, who knows what could have happened. And then Jesse Ventura, there was a movement, a draft Jesse movement this summer. He didn't find out about till later. He's sort of, if he would have run and seriously run as a third party candidate, I think a lot of those libertarians would vote for him. I think a lot of those 100 million people that don't vote would vote for him. So we got to have a third party, and there has to be some type of labor general strike in there. There has to be. Like, if every McDonald's worker said, no, we're done across the country, every Walmart worker, if they all just said, nope, we're shutting it down, it would happen overnight. It would happen in a matter of days. But yeah, I don't know. I hope the country doesn't just collapse. So
I think it's going to slide into, we really are almost, Graham, kind of like Brazil. And Dylan Radigan made this point on my show. He said that we're already there, Jimmy. We just don't notice because we have a few things camouflaging it, like Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and Hollywood. And that kind of covers over the fact that, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most people can't afford their health care when they get sick. Most people, if they get sick, they go into debt. Kids don't have, there's no fucking jobs out there. Everyone's on their mountains of students. So we're just a debtor nation. We've taken the richest country the face of the earth has ever seen. We've rendered 80% of their workers fucking living paycheck to pay. I mean, it's just a crazy system. And, Bernie Sanders, again, wants to play along with those people who set this system up. And it's just obvious now he's not the guy, and he doesn't have the nads to get it done. Nowhere near. He fucking red baited himself, for Christ's sake. He knew what was happening. He knew Russia wasn't boasting him, but he went along with it anyway. What a feckless, weak motherfucker, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, you got to have balls. You got to be willing to take a bullet from the CIA if you want to be the strongest, most powerful man in the world. And he wasn't willing to he wasn't willing to offend. He wasn't willing to offend Joe Biden, let alone fucking call him out for the cause of Trump. Joe Biden's the cause of Trump. And instead of saying Joe Biden's my good friend, he should have said Joe Biden, the cause of Trump. If he would have said that every time he introduced himself, hey, Joe Biden, the cause of Trump. If Joe Biden, the cause of Trump, my good friend Joe Biden, the cause of Trump, maybe people would have put it together why we got Trump. But he never did the critique. Why, Graham? Because that was hard. Because it was hard to let people know that Barack Obama wasn't Santa Claus. He was actually a fucking asshole who raped them and kicked 5.1 million families out of their house when they needed him the most. He was unwilling to make that critique. Why? Because it was hard. It's hard to do that. And he wanted to suck up to the Democrats instead of fucking wake them up. And he lost because they conspired against him once again. And one of the big reasons why he lost was not only because they conspired against him, was because he sounded just like every other fucking Democrat. When he goes to a debate, says Joe Biden's a good guy, everybody up here is a good guy, better than fuck. No, everybody up here is corrupt and bought. Except for Tulsi Gabbard. She's the only one who doesn't take their fucking money besides me. Everybody else is fucking bought. Elizabeth Warren's got a super PAC, and that's it. He didn't do that. Why wouldn't he do that? Because he doesn't have the fucking nads to do that. He's a guy who cares about himself and his position. He's got a fucking huge ego. He's in politics, for fuck's sake. And why wouldn't he stand up for people like me? Why wouldn't he stand up for people like you? Instead, he fucking kicked those people out. His own delegates he kicked out for corporatists that they were. I mean, Fiorella talked about this on the Convo Couch, how he fucked over the grassroots. You've talked to his grassroots organizers in 2016. They all say it was a bullshit corporatist campaign he ran this time and didn't want anything to do with the grassroots. So Bernie Sanders fucking failed up and down at every turn in this campaign. Not only did he fuck over his own supporters, he fucked himself by Russiagating and red baiting, which is McCarthy smearing. And when he would say Donald Trump is the most corrupt president in the history of our country, that's just patently not fucking true. Joe Biden is more corrupt than Donald Trump is. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you say that, oh, you like Trump? No, they're all. It's like they refuse to. It's like, well, the heroin dealer isn't as bad as the crack dealer. Oh,
right, I know. But the thing is, Joe Biden's been dealing heroin for fucking 47 years, and Trump's only been dealing it for 4, and that's why he's got a much bigger death count. He's actually prosecuted more whistleblowers. He's done everything bad than more. And so I'm not saying Trump would have done any better. I'm just saying that is not the antidote. And so going forward, we're going to need a real left. I'm trying to do it with the party. I have had Chris Smalls on my show, the Amazon worker. He's also trying to do it. So I don't know. We need a Martin Luther King. You know, we need our Bobby Kennedy. We need somebody like that. We need Malcolm X. We need somebody to be a leader instead. We need our Lech Walesa. So I don't know if people remember Lech Walesa was a union leader in Poland. And so we need someone like that, and we don't have it. I thought it was Bernie Sanders, and of course it's not. It wasn't him. So even in Greece, they thought they had it, and that party that was polling at 4% took over Greece's politics, and they fucking sold out to the bankers. Of course, they were giving a Faustian bargain. They didn't really, it was like, hey, we're going to fucking kill your country, or you take this bar. And so they buckled, and they did it. And so neoliberal bankers run the goddamn earth right now. The economy is run by the military industrial complex at Wall Street, right? Right now, that's what's running the world. And that's why the world's in the situation it's in. And I heard somebody say, I think it was Michael Parente, they keep saying, poor countries. There is no such thing as a poor country. Why is it, if it's a poor country, why do we send our military there so we could steal their natural resources? It's because they're not a poor country.
Yeah.
Bolivia's not a poor country. They got lithium. They're not fucking poor. Venezuela's not a poor country. They got more oil than Saudi Arabia.
No, yeah, of course. And then we just sanction them. Like it's
right.
It's preposterous. Well, Jimmy, I really appreciate you taking time to be on the show today, man. And
thanks for having me, Graham. It's been a blast, and I look forward to you getting a flat screen behind you so you look like a regular show again.
I know it's been a crazy some stuff's happened, but I will have a screen behind me within days.
Respect your show.
I am respecting my show. I will respect my show. It's always nice to have Jimmy on the show. Thanks, buddy. And I'm sure most of you are Jimmy Dore show watchers. If not, go check out his show. And hopefully someday we'll be back on the road. God damn, I missed that.
Oh, hey, I'm doing a show. Dave at Flappers, he's doing shows there's a drive-in theater in Burbank, and they're starting to do shows this weekend. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, huh? What do you think of that?
Check that out. Well, Ron and I are doing a stand-up show November 21st on Zoom. You're more than welcome to pop in and do time with us. If you want to buy tickets, it's at Graham-Elwood on Venmo. The tickets are $10. We'll send you a Zoom link. So say hi to Steph, say hi to Brownie.
Okay, Graham.
And we'll talk soon.
Say hi to your surfboard.
My surfboard is so happy.
All right, bye, buddy.
All right, later. That was Jimmy Dore, ladies and gentlemen.